Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something pretty crucial, I think, for anyone eyeing a board role or for organizations wanting to really sharpen their governance.
Mhm.
It's all about understanding and assessing board leadership performance.
Yeah, exactly. We've looked at some really interesting sources covering everything from what authentic leadership actually looks like in the boardroom
Right.
to the specific skills that matter most in today's world.
So our mission, if you like, for this deep dive is to really map out what makes board leadership effective and how you as an individual can figure out and, well, show off your own capabilities.
Absolutely. And we're in such a dynamic period right now. The global landscape is, well, it's anything but predictable. People talk about VUCA.
Volatility, uncertainty.
Complexity, ambiguity, yeah. And that whole environment, it really forces boardrooms and executives, too, to take a good, hard look at their leadership teams. Do they have the right skills, the right competencies?
Are they ready for what's next,
Yeah.
basically?
Precisely. It's not just about managing today. It's about anticipating tomorrow, or trying to, anyway.
So is this turbulence actually causing shakeups in boardrooms? Are we seeing people move around much?
It's maybe more active than you'd first think. Board terms can seem long, but the data, it points to quite a bit of movement under the surface.
Oh, really?
Yeah, across Europe and the Anglosphere, you're looking at about 9% annual turnover for board members.
Okay, 9%.
But what's really interesting is that around 12% of the current board members in those areas, they're actually open to looking at new opportunities.
12%. And in the U.S.
Even higher, the figure there jumps to over 16%, 16.2% to be exact.
Wow, okay. That's actually quite a lot of people potentially looking for a new board seat. So if you're aspiring to one of these roles, it sounds like openings might be more common than you'd guess.
It certainly suggests that, yeah.
Any particular hotspots? Regions where this is more pronounced?
Well, it's interesting. If you look at the cities ranked very high for boardroom openings, London actually stands out. It's the only non-U.S. city in the top 10.
Really? London?
Yep. Suggests a pretty active market for board talent over in the UK right now.
Fascinating. Okay, let's shift gears just a bit.
Yeah.
What about the makeup of these boards? Diversity, gender representation? What's the picture there?
Well, the data shows there's been progress, definitely, but still, a way to go. In Europe and the Anglosphere, the split is roughly 62% male, 38% female.
Okay.
In the U.S., it's a little closer, around 60% male and 40% female.
Right. So a dynamic market, shifting demographics. Now, how does someone actually figure out if they're ready? How do they gauge their potential for these kinds of roles? This is where that assessment idea comes in, right?
Exactly. That's where Rutherford International's approach comes into the picture. And it's interesting because it's so data-driven. They're a board leadership audit. It's not just abstract ideas.
Not just theory.
No. It's built on a huge amount of statistical analysis. Plus, get this, over 40 years of actual hands-on experience testing and coaching board members.
40 years. Okay, so there's real substance there. It's not just a questionnaire you fill out online.
Definitely not. The sources really emphasize how valuable the insights from this audit can be. Doesn't matter if you're already on a board looking to move up or seeking your very first director role or even thinking about getting some kind of formal board certification.
It helps clarify things.
Hugely. It really gets to the core of what effective board leadership looks like in the real world based on models that have been proven out.
Okay, so what does it actually measure? What are the sort of key dimensions it looks at?
Good question. The full report, the Board Leadership Performance Report, it's built around 5 key dimensions, and these are supported by 34 specific predictors of success.
34. Wow.
Yeah, it's detailed. The first dimension focuses on 12 leadership personality types, and the big takeaway here is authenticity.
Authenticity. We hear that word a lot.
We do. But here, the data strongly suggests that real leadership, effective leadership, it starts when you embrace your own unique personality. That's the foundation for building trust, for making genuine connections.
So it's more than just be yourself. How does that play out on a board?
Well, think about it. When your actions, your decisions, your communication style, when they genuinely align with who you are at your core, it creates credibility. People trust you more.
Right.
But if there's a mismatch, if you're saying one thing but your behavior suggests something else, or you're trying to be someone you're not, that really undermines your effectiveness.
People see through it.
They do. Authenticity in this board context, it helps create a culture of trust, encourages open communication, and interestingly, the research suggests it can even help make up for areas where maybe you're not naturally the strongest.
Interesting.
Ultimately, it's about aligning what you do, what you say, and how you behave with your fundamental personality. Leveraging your strengths, adapting your style when needed, but always staying true to yourself.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So personality and authenticity is dimension 1. What else?
Dimension 2 looks at 5 board leadership styles, and what it does is rank your natural style against 5 specific board roles: chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, and just member.
So it maps your style to the role.
Exactly. The idea is that different roles often benefit from slightly different leadership approaches to be most effective. Understanding your default style and how it fits, or maybe where you'd need to adapt for a certain role, that's really valuable information.
Yeah, I can see that. Chairing a meeting needs a different energy than being treasurer, for example.
Precisely. Then, Dimension 3 covers the 3 levels of board leadership. That's board chairperson, vice chairperson, and board member. This part assesses your natural leadership tendencies and the kind of behavioral traits often linked with success at each level.
So it's about where you might naturally fit in the board structure.
Kind of, yeah. Or understanding the different expectations. It helps individuals see their leanings and helps organizations maybe better structure their boards to use everyone's strengths.
Okay. What about actual skills, talents?
That's Dimension 4. 5 universal talents necessary for enhanced board leadership. These are the absolute must-haves. The core leadership behaviors you see again and again in high-performing board leaders, no matter the specific role.
And what are those?
Being decisive is key. Being a good problem solver, communicating effectively, of course, being adaptable, huge in today's world, and thinking strategically.
Sounds pretty fundamental.
They are. And the research also points to related talents being really important. Things like collaborating well, being transparent, critical thinking, establishing alliances, personal ownership, multitasking. Quite a list.
Okay. These sound crucial, but maybe applicable beyond just boards.
Well, yes and no. They're framed specifically for the boardroom context. And Dimension 5 makes a really important distinction here. It looks at the 5 talents necessary for enhanced C-suite leadership performance.
So different talents for the exec team versus the board.
Exactly. The research is clear on this. C-suite talents might include things like, driving imaginative insight, having a laser focus on profits and the day-to-day running of the company, a different kind of strategic vision, perhaps. The board assessment is calibrated for board success. Governance, oversight, strategic direction from that perspective.
Right. Different playing fields, different skill sets needed.
Got it. Okay, so someone takes this assessment, they get this detailed report on their personality, styles, levels, talents. They understand their potential. What then? Where does the Rutherford International Talent Marketplace fit in?
Perfect transition.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Rutherford International, seeing this growing need for really top-notch board leaders, they've expanded their talent marketplace to specifically feature board member candidates. It's designed as a pretty exclusive platform. It's there to promote high-potential professionals, emerging talent, basically individuals whose potential, based on the assessment, consistently puts them in the top quartile, the top 25%. So it's a showcase for the high scores on the audit.
Essentially, yes. And the barrier to entry, or rather the qualification, is directly tied to the audit results. If you score 70 or higher in any of those 5 ranked board leadership roles we talked about, chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, or member, you're eligible to be featured.
A score of 70. And is there data on how well these candidates actually perform?
There is, and it's pretty compelling. The sources state there's an 85% statistical accuracy, meaning these candidates meet or, more often, surpass employer expectations 80 to 85% of the time.
80 to 85%. That's incredibly high. A strong validation.
It really is. It suggests that the assessment is genuinely identifying people with high potential for board effectiveness.
So how does the marketplace actually work day to day? How does it connect these people with board opportunities?
It's described as a really dynamic hub, driven by things like RFIs and RFPs, requests for information or proposals. It connects businesses looking for board members with these candidates. But it also features other top-tier professionals, too, like independent consultants, executive coaches, fractional execs.
A broader talent pool, but with a specific board section.
Exactly. If you're a member, you get actively promoted. Your profile gets visibility with organizations searching for talent. Plus, companies can post their opportunities directly or just browse and engage with candidates on the platform.
Okay, so it sounds like a really practical tool. For individuals, it's a way to get noticed if they've got the proven potential.
Gets them on the radar.
And for companies, it's a pre-vetted pool of strong candidates, which must save a lot of time and effort in the search process.
Absolutely. More efficient, more effective sourcing of board talent. It really seems like a win-win.
So this all leads to a pretty clear takeaway for our listeners, especially those thinking about board service or wanting to be more effective where they are.
I think so, yeah. If you're serious, truly serious about understanding your leadership potential, specifically for a board role, and you want to position yourself effectively, taking this Rutherford International Board Leadership Performance Assessment seems like a really powerful first move.
It gives you that objective, scientifically backed view of your strengths, right?
Yeah.
And how they map to what boards actually need.
Exactly. Your unique strengths matched against specific role capabilities.
And we should probably mention the cost aspect, too. The sources brought this up as quite significant. You compare the $500 cost for this assessment with the average cost of, say, a board certification from an Ivy League executive program, which is apparently around $22,000.
Yeah, $22,000. It's a stark difference, isn't it?
Huge difference.
So for, a fraction of that investment, you get these incredibly valuable personalized insights and potential access to this marketplace platform that could seriously boost your visibility for board opportunities.
It makes the assessment seem very cost-effective in comparison.
It really does. Whether you're focused on your own career path or you're maybe thinking about how to lift the governance game in your current organization, that assessment seems to offer a really compelling value proposition.
So the message is pretty clear then. If you're ready to really uncover your board leadership potential, position yourself for success. Take that first step.
Take the assessment. Explore Rutherford International's performance assessment.
To understand your strengths, maybe identify areas you want to develop.
Exactly. And then you can be much more strategic about finding the right board opportunities for you.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, it feels like the main point is crystal clear. Knowing your board leadership potential isn't just nice to have anymore. It's pretty crucial in this demanding environment.
Couldn't agree more.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. What are those unique strengths you could bring to a board? And how could getting a really clear data-driven picture of those strengths help you not just understand them, but actually showcase them effectively? Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.